Alright YouTube, welcome back to Axis and Allies, the Garrison. Today we have here at the Garrison my very good friend Robert Higgins, who will be playing with me a session of Axis and Allies Global, the 1942 setup. It's actually our first time playing G40 1942 setup, so we're both rookies and we'll be learning how to play this particular version of Larry Harris's setup 1942. Okay, so Robert will be playing with the Axis and I will be playing, I'll be the commander of the Allied Forces 1942 setup. Alright guys, we'll keep you updated as the game progresses. Alright, so it's the beginning of turn 1. Russia just countered Operation Barbarossa. The Russians, in their initial moves, purchased 6 infantry and 1 tactical bomber. Okay, so the Russians countered and they were able to take Smolensk, Belarus, Western Ukraine, and Ukraine. Okay, so now it is Germany's turn. Let's see how Germany responds to this counterattack from Russia. Okay, but keep in mind, please, that okay, sorry about that. I had a little glitch with my phone. Keep in mind that actually Germany doesn't yet go. It's actually Japan's turn, and Robert has started his initial moves with Japan. Okay. Folks, remember that here at the Garrison, when we play, we use time management. So we do play with a time management system based on initial moves, combat movement phase of 8 minutes. Once that's completed, Robert will then utilize his 4 remaining minutes for non-combat movement phase. Okay. Question?
I'm out of roundels.
For Japan? Oh.
Yep.
Well, do not despair, my friend, because we've got plenty over here on this side. There you go.
We're going to need a whole lot more.
I believe it.
I'm going to need like 80 roundels for
Oh my
Japan.
God. Well, we'll get there. We'll get there. There you go.
Thanks.
All right, so what did Japan purchase? Japan made an interesting purchase. Japan purchased minor industrial complex, 1 airbase, 1 submarine, and 1 destroyer. That are the purchases that the UK, actually correction, the Japanese commander, Admiral Yamamoto, made with or for Japan. And guys, please remember, this is the 1942 setup, Global 40. It is my first time playing this setup, and it is also Robert's first time, so please bear with us. Alright, so it's still turn 1. The Japanese commander Yamamoto, aka Robert, made inroads into China by taking Yunnan, Aoi, and Jeho. Okay, so the Japanese have pushed the Chinese back in this area of the Pacific Theater. Okay, also the U.S. naval fleet off the coast of Johnston Island, Sea Zone 49, was wiped out. Unfortunately for the Japanese, they also lost their entire fleet in the attack. So both forces neutralized each other. Okay, the U.S. in turn, okay, mobilized and moved the entirety of their fleet off the coast of Hawaii. The Japanese in turn also coalesced and basically moved into their naval assets off the coast of the Philippines and New Guinea. All right, so what happened in the Atlantic Theater? The U.S. sunk the 2 German subs in Sea Zone 107. Okay, the destroyer, the American destroyer, participated in that attack. The fact that the U.S. was able to use 2 bombers to aid in that attack made the attack successful. All right, this is the end of the USA's turn. Now I believe it's China, and then after China, Germany. All right, turn 1, Germany's turn. Germany purchased 1 destroyer, an aircraft carrier, and a total of 7 mechanized infantry. Beginning of turn, we're still on turn 1. Germany just completed its combat movements. Field Marshal, actually General Heinz Guderian here, aka Robert, attacked on the Eastern Front, and he retook the Baltic states, wiping out the 4 Russian infantry. Sea Zone 119. Here the German Navy and Air Force wiped out the British battleship in Sea Zone 119 along with its escort of a naval transport. Okay, and an interesting move. The Germans took the island of Cyprus. Okay. All right. Again, once again, it's still turn 1. Germany is now about to start its non-combat movements. By the way, during its turn, the U.S. annexed Brazil. All right, so here you have now 3 infantry, 1 artillery, and the United States placed its assets off the coast of Sea Zone 101. 2 naval transports, a carrier, and a fighter, and a bomber. The U.S. also moved its 2 bombers into the U.K. China has created a stronghold in the province of Saskatchewan, along with 1 fighter. The Chinese are in total defense mode at this point in time against an offense driven by the Japanese. All right, currently it's Germany's turn. The UK is runner-up now. All right, still turn 1. The UK just made its move. The Europe purchased 1 major industrial, actually 1 light industrial complex, minor, placed it in Egypt. UK also purchased 1 aircraft carrier, which is placed on New Brunswick. Okay, now the UK did sink, was able to get rid of the sub and German cruiser that were in Sea Zone 119. Okay, that's gone. All right. The UK also bombed with their bomber. Were able to bomb Paris, inflicting 6 IPC points of damage on the minor industrial complex in Paris. All right. So what happened in the Pacific? The UK Pacific was attempted to retake Shah State. Unfortunately, the attack failed. The defending Japanese infantry defended effectively by killing the 1 infantry that was attacking from British Burma. Okay, the UK Navy, the Royal Navy, moved its fleet from Sea Zone 39 to the Red Sea. Okay, so the UK commander, who is me, of course, is looking to reinforce the UK naval contingent in the Mediterranean. See what happens there. All right, so now it is Italy's turn. Let's see what happens. Did you make your purchases with Italy yet, Ron?
I was thinking about a destroyer.
All right, so Italy will make a purchase of 1 naval destroyer. 1 naval destroyer for Italy. let's see what strategy Mussolini will employ in the Mediterranean. A lot of options for Italy here. Very interesting game.
Are you good, bro?
Alright, so it's the end of turn 1. The Anzacs just completed their moves. The Anzacs did not attack anybody. They did make an interesting move, which I think is interesting for me anyway. I moved the Anzac fleet off the coast of Johnston Island, right next to the American fleet at Pearl Harbor. Okay, the Anzacs did not make any purchases. They carried over their 10 IPCs, which in turn, with the 10 that they automatically get, that'll be the total sum of 20 IPCs that the Anzacs will carry into turn 2. Okay, last player, last country to go, France. Okay, the French moved their destroyer into the Red Sea with the British fleet. The French cruiser off the coast of in Sea Zone 83 moved up to off the coast of Gibraltar with the British fleet there. And as, in order to annoy the Italians, the French took over Tunisia that was unoccupied. Okay guys, this is the end of turn 1. We are officially moving the counter to turn 2. So, Russia starts turn 2, right? Okay, beginning of turn 2, we'll keep you updated. Alright, it's Russia's turn, Soviet Union goes. Turn 2 beginning. The Soviet Union purchased 9 infantry and 1 tactical fighter, or tactical bomber. Okay. Soviet Union will be attacking Belarus at sea, territory 1, and Western Ukraine, territory 2. What is it? And the Western Ukraine. Okay, got tongue twisted there for a second. All right, let's roll. See what happens. All right, Russia just completed its attack moves. Russia successfully attacked and retook Western Ukraine as well as Belarus. So the Germans are being checked in this area of the eastern front. Okay. Russia is also deploying a considerable number of armored units and mechanized infantry into the Middle East. And Russian infantry have been moved into the Amur, threatening the Japanese forces in Manchuria and Korea. The Soviet submarine in Sea Zone 125 has now redeployed and been moved up to Sea Zone 110. And there is a considerable Russian army at Smolensk. Okay, that's my time. It is now Japan's turn. Let's see what purchases the Japanese are going to make. And as soon as Yamamoto decides what he's going to purchase, oh, there he is. He's making his move now. Japan is purchasing 1 armored unit, 2 infantry, mechanized infantry, 2 regular infantry, and a bomber. Interesting. Okay. Alright, so the war continues. We're still in turn 2. Japan just finished making its combat moves. Also placed its combat units, okay? What the Japanese have done is that they have consolidated their naval assets off the coast of the Philippines. A pretty substantial naval force in the Philippines. I wonder what Yamamoto is planning to do next. Okay, the United States, of course, is arrayed off the coast of Hawaii, and there's a smaller Australian fleet off the coast of the Johnston Islands in sea zone number 30. Okay, in China, the Japanese have consolidated their gains by reinforcing Yunnan and placing more units in French Indochina. Okay, they have placed a minor industrial complex in French Indochina and yet another minor industrial complex in Shantung. All right, United States turn. United States purchased 2 bombers, a naval carrier, 1 fighter, 2 naval transports, and 1 artillery piece. All right, so it's turn 2. United States gets to go next, and we'll be making its combat moves shortly. All right, we are still at turn 2. The timer just rang. It's Robert's turn. Let's see what his purchases were for Germany. He actually purchased 2 artillery, 1 fighter, 1 regular infantry, and about 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mechanized infantry for his German purchase. Currently, Robert is making his combat moves. Let's see what they're going to be. Alright. So I see that he is making his move into Leningrad. He's moving in there massively, a total of 7 armored units, substantial number of mech and regular infantry. There's only 1 regular Russian, actually 4 Russian infantry defending that territory. Any other attacks, Rob?
Bessarabia.
He's also going for Bessarabia. So Bessarabia and Novgorod, which is Leningrad. And you moved your Africa Corps forward, right? All right. Now let's resolve combat. All right, the UK just completed its non-combat movement phase. During the combat movement phase, the UK actually had no attacks to perform, with the exception of UK Pacific that was able to attack and retake Shah State in Southeast Asia. All right, so the UK did purchase 3 fighters, which is placed in Europe, in the UK, and it did consolidate its fleet in sea zone 10. What sea zone is it? 109. Okay. So the UK and the United States are building up for an eventual Sea Lord operation. All right, so now UK just completed. It's Italy's turn in the sequence. Okay, your time, Rob.
Okay.
You get 4 minutes.
We forgot something for
Sure.
Germany. We forgot to flip that roundel and add 1 to the tracker.
Which one?
For Tunisia.
Yes, we did. So let's add 1. And 1 less. France is already out of the game, so it's +1, so you get to collect an additional IPC. Correct?
Yep, so Germany's at 60 now.
Germany is at 50 plus whatever national objectives you have, and I'm not quite certain what they may be.
Oh, 50. Okay, +10.
+10, so you have 60 IPCs.
Okay.
And this, folks, is till turn 2. In our game of Global 1940 1942 setup edition. All right, so we just completed turn 2. ANZAC built a newly purchased aircraft carrier, and it places 2 fighters on it. The US and Australians have coalesced and have formed a large fleet off the coast of Queensland in northern Australia, facing off against the Japanese Imperial Navy off the coast of the Philippines. So let's see what happens. It's an interesting turn of events with what's going on in the Pacific. All right, so end of turn 2, beginning of turn 3. The counter now is at turn 3, Russia's turn. Russia is purchasing a total of 14 infantry at a cost of 42 IPCs. Okay, and the Russians are attacking Iraq. They're also retaking Bessarabia and are holding off on any attacks on the northern front of the Eastern Front, actually the northern end of the Eastern Front, okay? General Heinz Guderian is responsible. There he is. And he is in charge of the Army Group B Center with a strategy of focusing on the northern central front of the Operation Barbarossa. All right, guys. We'll keep you updated as events develop. All right, so the Russians were successful in their drive into Iraq. The Iraqi army fell rather easily. Okay, so the Russians were able to easily take that part of the region. The Russians also destroyed the defending Russian infantry in Bessarabia. Okay, and the Russian reinforcements that were in Moscow moved into Smolensk. So you now have in Smolensk over 10 infantry, considerable number of armor that are preparing for a hard-fought battle against the German Wehrmacht under the command of General Heinz Guderian. Let's see how that pans out. Okay, so now Russia also placed its 10 infantry in Moscow and an additional 3 in the Ukraine and 1 in Stalingrad. The Russians have also moved reinforcements into China to help their comrades in arms in northwestern China, the communists, and 1 Russian infantry to help out the nationalists in central China. All right, folks, we'll keep you updated. Now it's Japan's turn. Rob, you decided what your purchases are going to be?
Working on it.
Working on it? All right. Oh, here we are. Right, so he's purchasing 3 mechanized infantry, 3 armor, 2 subs, destroyer, and a tactical bomber. Interesting purchase. All right. All right, the U.S. just went, finally, Operation Sea Lion, Operation Overlord was performed, and the U.S. Turn 3 lands in Normandy. No resistance was provided by the German army. Okay, so a total of 1 armor, 1 mech infantry, and 1 artillery. 5 infantry were landed in Normandy. All right, the U.S. has already established its logistical support lines. U.S. purchased 2 bombers, a fighter, 1 aircraft carrier that it placed off the coast of California in Sea Zone 10. And of course, we have these 2 huge fleets, each facing off with the other. It's an interesting stalemate that we have going on here. It's a little bit rare, but it happens on occasion where both players are at a standoff, or both commanders are at a standoff, watching the others move. All right, so the U.S. just went. It was turn 3, and now it is China's turn, and after China, it'll be Germany. Let's see what Germany does. All right, so Germany, with turn 3, Germany's countering by purchasing a total of, I believe, 6 regular infantry, 3 mechanized infantry, 3 artillery pieces, and 1 tactical bomber. Okay. All right, let's see what the Germans are doing and up in the Normandy. It turns out they're countering by attacking the U.S. forces in Normandy, which going to be an interesting battle. And he's sending all of his air force against the Allied, actually just the U.S. forces in Normandy. Let's see how the battle resolves. Now, on the Eastern Front, he's attacking, Heinz Guderian is attacking Bessarabia, Western Ukraine, Belarus, and that's about it for now. So a total of 3 territories in Eastern Europe and a 4th one in the northern in Normandy. All right, let's resolve combat. All right, so we just resolved combat, and we had an interesting turn of events. The Germans were able to successfully drive or destroy the entire U.S. Army in Normandy. I have to admit that I made a mistake. Since I'm so used to playing global forwarding, that I believed I was going to be able to reinforce the U.S. forces in Normandy with the English. As it turns out, the Germans go before the English. In the 42 edition, the Germans go before the English, before the UK. So I was not able to reinforce the Americans that had landed in Normandy. So that's a big goof on my part. Good move for Robert. Good move. He saw the mistake and he capitalized, and he took out the U.S. forces in Normandy. All right, so let's do the other battles that have yet to be resolved on the Eastern Front. All right, so it's the beginning of turn 4. Russia made its purchases. Russia's purchasing 11 artillery pieces. It is the beginning of turn 4. Russia will attack the Germans in Western Ukraine and Belarus. You want to move the counter piece to 4, Rob?
I'm sorry, say again?
Move it to number turn 4. Thank you. All right, let's resolve combat. All right, Russia just finished making its moves. It is now Japan's turn. Yamamoto is figuring out what he's going to do in the Pacific and in China. All right, so let's assess what's going on here on the Eastern Front. On the Eastern Front, lines have coalesced. Basically, Robert has, or Guderian has chosen a strategy of utilizing mech infantry, which gives his units mobility and speed. Okay, so very interesting. I like what he's done with it, with the strategy, and definitely something considering or worth implementing in your arsenal, including in your arsenal. Okay, so now let's go to the events of what's transpiring right now in China. The Japanese are in the process of attacking the Chinese. They're throwing in all their air force and are hoping to wipe out the Chinese in central China. Interesting. Let's see what happens. All right, Russia just finished making its moves. It is now Japan's turn. Yamamoto is figuring out what he's going to do in the Pacific and in China. All right, so let's assess what's going on here on the Eastern Front. On the Eastern Front, the lines have coalesced. Basically, Robert has, or Guderian has chosen a strategy of utilizing mech infantry, which gives his units mobility and speed. Okay, so very interesting. I like what he's done with it, with the strategy, and definitely something considering or worth implementing in your arsenal, including in your arsenal. Okay, so now let's go to the events of what's transpiring right now in China. The Japanese are in the process of attacking the Chinese. They're throwing in all of their air force and are hoping to wipe out the Chinese in central China. Interesting. Let's see what happens. All right, welcome back. We are at turn 4. Japan just went. Japan purchased 1 carrier, 2 infantry, 5 armored units, 1 mech, and 1 bomber, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, the Japanese had a very successful round. They were able to take out the Chinese army in Shensei. This effectively is a turning point in favor of the Japanese. Big black eye on the Allies right now. Of course, we still have the two fleets here facing each other. We shall see what happens. So turn 4. German commander, it's his turn. Germany buys 4 bombers, strategical bombers, 4 infantry, and 1 artillery piece. Very interesting purchase. I have to say that I like it. However, there may be doubts about the purchase, but it does have tremendous potential. All right, the German commander at this time is not attacking anyone. Interesting. He's just going straight into his non-combat movements. No attacks with Germany. Folks, let me remind you, it is turn 4. It is Germany's turn. After Germany's turn, it is the UK's turn. Followed up by Italy, Anzac, and France. And also, let me remind you once again, guys, that this is our first time playing Global 40 42 setup. So we have both made our share of mistakes today. It's interesting how, as you play the game, your tendencies or the way you think is that of Global 40. There's certain strategies that you're so accustomed to using and playing with that, as far as strategies are concerned, that you end up making mistakes. The turn sequence, for instance, with the first country being the Soviet Union, followed by Japan, the United States, China, Germany, Germany's smack in the middle, followed by the UK, Italy, Anzac, and ultimately with France. Okay, so the turn order sequence is definitely very much so different than the Global 40 setup. Even if you don't get accustomed to the idea of the sequence, and you don't include that in your strategizing, you will pay a price for it. And that's exactly what's happened to me today. So Heinz Guderian, aka Robert, is making his combat moves. I have to say, Robert, you have played well today.
Thank you.
Considering that we're both rookies in this particular version of G40.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so it's turn 5. Japan just went. Japan is definitely moving on strong against the UK Pacific forces. They have moved into Burma and are ready to deploy. You have the Japanese fleet off the coast of the Philippines, fully focused or concentrated. Basically, the Japanese are playing the strategy, or the Japanese commander, of holding off any potential penetrations that the U.S. may try to attempt to do. Okay, so it's definitely an interesting game so far. All right, so it is turn 5. Japan just went, so it is the United States' turn. The U.S., of course, it's me. I will be purchasing, show you right here, 8 infantry, 2 bombers, a carrier, and 1 naval aircraft, a Corsair. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do my combat movements. All right, so we're at turn 5, Germany's turn. Germany has purchased 5 mechanized infantry, I believe 6 infantry and 3 artillery pieces. Germany has also repaired the damage on its minor industrial complex in France at a cost of 6 IPCs. The major industrial complex in West Germany is still damaged with a total of 16 IPCs. And of course, the Allies have landed in Normandy and are bracing for a potential, maybe, attack or counter. Is it even possible? Maybe. Sure looks like it is going for it.
There's ice cream, not to get ice cream. You're asking me that question. You don't know what the answer to that. No.
Yes, there is an attack happening, and we shall see what happens.
Look at the other one.
If the Germans can throw the Allies out of Normandy again.
He knows I can jump. We're halfway back.
Of course they will.
Maybe, maybe not. By the way, I was forgetting to mention that during the turn, the USA's turn, the USA bomber fleet was able to take out the German Navy in Sea Zone 113. So the Germans lost a carrier, a destroyer, and a naval transport in the process. Robert chose not to scramble. He figured it was not worth the effort on saving his navy. Okay, we're still on Germany's turn 5. All right, just to recap, Germany is going on the offense. German army is attacking the Soviet army in Archangel. Also attacking Bessarabia, and let's not forget Normandy. It's going to be interesting. Let's see what happens. Now we're going to go to the resolve combat stage of the game. Okay, turn 5, UK's turn. The UK purchased 5 infantry, 2 artillery pieces, and an aircraft carrier. That's the UK Pacific, UK Europe, UK Pacific, only 1 artillery. Okay, UK's attacks or combat movements will be as follows. The UK will be attacking the Germans in Normandy with 8 infantry and a total of 5 fighters and 2 tactical bombers into Normandy. The UK will also perform an industrial air raid on Berlin. Okay, the bomber will land in Belarus, Russia. Okay, let's resolve combat. All right, Japan just finalized its non-combat movements. The UK commander, realizing that India was unattainable, decided to retreat. So hence the Japanese were able to take Calcutta. Japanese have taken Calcutta, turn 6. Also, more good news for the Japanese. The Japanese have finally finished the last of the Chinese resistance by taking out the remaining 2 infantry in Kansu. Okay, of course, the Russians are making the necessary arrangements to prepare for a defense of the homeland. All right, so now that's it for the Japanese. The Japanese are now placing their newly purchased units. And now it is the United States' turn. The United States is going to be purchasing 2 bombers, 1 fighter, naval transport, and a destroyer. All right, still turn
Perfect.
6. The U.S. just went. The U.S. was able to surprise attack the Germans by
That's the way you gotta do things.
deploying the U.S. bomber fleet onto Poland, where Robert left 4 of his German bombers unescorted or unprotected. All 4 bombers were effectively taken out. I sent 5 bombers to do that job. I also sent 1 German bomber, 1 U.S. bomber to Berlin for a strategic air raid, and that failed when his AAA engaged and shot down the AAA. All right, but so far so good. Definitely the Japanese are have the wind behind their backs. The Russians are hoping to put up a holding action, hoping that the holding action will benefit the Allies and give the Allies enough time to crush Germany. But that's a long way to go. It is turn 6. It is Germany's turn now.
No. Tell her she's going to play the first.
All right, guys. Welcome back. We're halfway through turn 6, and we have decided to call the game a draw, a stalemate. Even though the Axis have been inflicting or have gained or have succeeded at several points throughout the war or this game, the Axis have shown that they have yet to complete or achieve any significant victories. Yes, the Axis, the Japanese in particular, did knock out the Chinese, did defeat the Chinese, okay, but yet they still have to contend with a strong Russian presence now that they have to deal with. Okay, the Japanese also succeeded in taking Calcutta. However, the British Army chose to retreat, knowing full well that defending Calcutta was a useless gesture and that a fighting retreat was the best option. In the Pacific, the American, Australian Allied fleet facing off with the Japanese fleet Both fleets are equally matched. Interestingly enough, same number of ships, same type of ships, and almost same number of aircraft and types of aircraft. Very interesting. Okay, so having said this, the truth of the matter is that the Japanese have not yet inflicted sufficient damage to the Allies. Okay, the Russians have been very successful at creating a situation on the Eastern Front where the Germans are basically at a stalemate. The Germans, even though they do have a qualitative edge over the Russians as far as mechanized infantry and armored units, that provides them with certain advantages as far as speed and mobility and unpredictability, they have, even though they have this advantage, they have been checked. The Russians are actually threatening in the southern flank on going on the offense. Okay, but the real news though is in Western Europe. This is where Germany or the Axis run into trouble. Even though the Allies did initially get repulsed in Normandy, the Allies have established a foothold in Normandy now. Okay, and the combined forces of the United States and the English, the United Kingdom, pose a serious threat to the defense of Germany. Germany at this point in time has very few infantry, armored units in its home territories. The problem for Germany is that the United States has a large bomber formation. The United States currently has up to 7 bombers. Correction, yes, it is 7. 5 of which are currently in Smolensk, ready to deploy for the next turn, and an additional 2 bombers in northern UK. Okay, so that's a total of 7 bombers that will create havoc on German industry. Germany has to, on a continual basis, has to continually repair its factories. Hence, its economy is in deep, deep trouble. Question: can Germany hold out in time for the Japanese to come to their aid? However, having said that, the Allies themselves have a certain number of issues that they have to deal with, and that is that the Allies are not yet strong enough to take out Germany, and the Allies, in particularly the Russians, now have to deal with a resurgent and offense-oriented Japanese army. The Japanese have definitely made a mark and are very powerful at this point in time. So what happens? What do you do? Okay, historically speaking, we all know that a war of attrition benefits the Allies, and basically at this point in time, it's turn 6. A war of attrition would benefit the Allies. However, can the Russians hold out against the Japanese? These are questions that we asked ourselves and that we do not really have an answer for. Okay, all that we know is it can go based upon past practice and experiences that a war of attrition does benefit the Allies, but there are times though when Russia doesn't hold out. When that happens, if Russia collapses, then the Allies lose. Same token, on the other hand, if Germany collapses, the Axis lose the game. So hence, we decided to call the game a draw, a stalemate. Yes, gentlemen, a stalemate. It is the day after our game session here at the Garrison, and we played for approximately a good, I would say about a good 10 and a half hours, and we were beat. We stopped playing like about 8 o'clock last night. We started at about 10, more or less. So we actually played like about 10 hours. So we were very tired and we were very happy to call it a day. And I think we were both happy with calling the game a stalemate. But however, having said that, guys, let me know what you think. What are your opinions? Should we have declared the game a stalemate? Or should we have declared one side a winner and the other side a loser? What do you guys think? Of course, I would like to thank my friend Robert, who, aka Heinz Guderian, played a heck of a game. Definitely had me up against the ropes, especially in turns 3 and 4, where the Chinese Central Army was destroyed and the Americans were repulsed in Normandy. I have to thank him because he played a very good game, and as always, he's such a gentleman. I enjoy when I have Robert here at the Garrison, and I hope that we can play another game at another session in the near future. Once again, thank you, and I hope that we have a chance to play again. All right, guys, so let me know what you think as usual. Please opine and let me know what you think as far as this particular session of this battle report is concerned. Guys, once again, thank you. And by the way, don't forget as usual to hunker down and play, guys.